Hey everyone, it's Ryan with Real Estate Skills, and I'm here with Karen, who's an amazing member of our Pro Wholesaler VIP program, who's just closed her first wholesale deal for a $10,000 profit. Now, she's been in the program for just under 2 months and has created some awesome momentum and success for herself. So I'm really excited for her to share some of her journey today. She's based in the Charlotte, North Carolina market, and she's the owner of PLP Investments LLC. So she's all around an amazing person that I've had the pleasure to meet in our communities. So thank you again for taking the time today, Karen. First off, how you doing?
I'm good, Ryan. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy to
Thank
be here.
you so much for taking the time. Yeah, I've been really looking forward to this. And, ever since you posted your win, relatively early on since joining, you shared that you had signed your first contract. And then, as we know, it takes some time for it to ultimately close. So was just so excited to see that. And then ultimately you sharing that you got it to the finish line and you actually closed on the deal, which is super exciting. So we'll definitely get into that. To start, just wanted to hear a little bit maybe about your prior experience. If you had any real estate experience, what were you doing before joining the Pro Wholesaler program? If you don't mind just sharing a little bit about your background.
So prior to joining the program, the only real estate experience that I have is buying and selling our own homes. We came from Chicago, where the housing market, we lived in the North Shore of Chicago, where it's a pricey place to live. Real estate prices, we did really well on 2 homes and not so well on our last home. But at that point, we just wanted to get out of Chicago and move to Charlotte. So that was my only experience with real estate. Prior to that, I've always been interested in real estate. And I didn't even know wholesaling existed until I started doing some research on how to get into real estate investing, and found out from a friend of the family that wholesaling was a sector of real estate investing. And I just started investigating it and found Real Estate Skills. And after talking to, I believe his name was David, on the phone, signed up for it. And I finished the course in 4 weeks. I was kind of obsessed for a little while. Spent my weekends and evenings, car rides, everything, listening to the lessons, and making up homework assignments for myself, and taking the spreadsheets and the information and kind of making some of it my own. My background is in finance. I'm currently the director of finance for an international dental equipment manufacturing company here in Charlotte. The U.S. headquarters are here in Charlotte. So I'm no stranger to numbers and spreadsheets, so that stuff doesn't scare me, and numbers never lie. So I like numbers. And I base most of my research on numbers, and then fill it in with some color based on stories from the realtors or the area, etc. And after I took this course, I started the course, I said my goal was to have my first deal under contract by October 31st. I started taking the class, I think, the week of September 10th. And this one particular property that I did wholesale, I had spoken to the listing agent, who also happened to be the owner of the property, a couple weeks prior to getting this under contract, or to even reconnecting with him. And he told me what he wanted for it. And I said, no, I can't come up that high. I said, here's my number. And he said, no, I can't do that. And then he called me a week later and he said, I can take your offer. So he said, but I can't represent you. So I got an agent, and we put the offer in. And this guy was difficult. He was difficult from the beginning. He didn't want to part with this property, but he told me that he had a balloon payment that he had to make, and that's why he was selling the property. I actually went to go look at it. The ceiling was caving in parts. The floor was rotten and moldy. It needed some structural work. It was really in bad shape. They had taken the siding and covered over some. You could see there was mold behind the siding. It needed a lot of work. And originally I thought okay, we'll just take this one because I'm not going to be able to wholesale it. And I had put down a due diligence fee, which in the state of North Carolina, most of the properties, they want a due diligence fee. You can get away without it, but they don't like it. So this one, I did put in $500, and I figure, okay, I made a mistake and it's my first one, and I'm going to learn from this and not put this in again, because I've spoken to people here that say, now I make too many offers to put in due diligence fees and they get away with it. So at the, I couldn't wholesale this deal after I got it under contract, and I posted it on Facebook, and somebody contacted me to joint venture with them. So that's how we ended up wholesaling it. He brought the buyer to the table, and now I've since spoken to that buyer, and he's looking for his next property. So I'm scouting out the area for his next property. So at least I made a relationship out of that. And all in all, at the end of the day, it closed about 7 days later than it was supposed to. So when close day came, I got very nervous that that money wasn't being deposited into my account. But then I got contacted by the title company to get my payment information. So then I knew it was going to happen. So I felt a little bit better about it then. Based on the real estate skills paperwork, we had the joint venture agreement. I had the wholesale agreement with the buyer, and he paid me back my due diligence fee as well. So it all went well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like you were on a little bit of a roller coaster with finding that perfect buyer, and then ultimately you're able to joint venture and co-wholesale with another wholesaler that you're able to connect with to ultimately find the perfect buyer. So that's awesome. Way to be resourceful and, you know, put yourself out there to make it happen. So that's really exciting. And you know, overcoming some of those challenges, like how you're saying in your market, there's the due diligence fees, which is pretty unique to your market, but ultimately you're able to make that work in such a short time. You know, I love that you're able to put your goal out there, and then you really went to it, and you solidified what you wanted to accomplish, and then you went after and you made it happen. So really congrats on that. And then you ultimately netted a $10,000 profit since you got your due diligence fee refunded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
split 2 ways. So I got 5 and he got 5.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how much time would you say you put into the deal overall?
4 hours.
Yeah, that's a very nice payday for 4 hours of work.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And really coming in here with, you know, I do think that buying and selling your primary residence does give you a pretty relevant transaction experience. But having the perspective of the investing side is something that's pretty new for a lot of people. So, you know, coming into the program, could you speak to your experience leveraging some of the resources available to you to ultimately, you know, have the results that you've been able to have thus far? Like, how's your experience been since joining the program?
Well, the deal calculator is, I mean, it's perfect. It's amazing. I've put a couple of tweaks in of my own. The repair estimator is great as well. And then the ARV, how you guys calculate the ARV, I actually made my own spreadsheet. So I drop all the comps in there along with links and everything I would use to put it on the platinum platter, as you guys call it, when you send it out to offer it to cash buyers. So that was I think the one major tweak that I made to things to make my life a little bit easier. So learning about that, learning about Streak has been really great as well. So putting all those together, I think really led to that one. And I don't even know if I had all these things in place when I did that one. That was pretty early on. And since then, I keep tweaking it more and more and more. And I'm able to use the resources that you guys provided now pretty quickly, just from looking at it so many times. My day job is pretty demanding and takes up a lot of time. So I like to throw in like an hour or 2 a day if I can, looking at properties, and just having these resources now, I can take what I I find either on Redfin. I mostly use Redfin. I also have one home that the agent that did this first deal with me has given me. So we put a search in there. So I can quickly work up an ARV of an area or of a property before I even talk to the agent, if I don't have time to talk to the agent, to see if it's even worth going for.
Yeah, no, that's super smart. And that's what we see, you know, as we put in the work, as we look at a lot of houses in our areas, we'll get quicker and we'll get sharper with our ARVs and our repairs, and things just compound and they snowball over time. And like you can even attest to this, that you'll just get quicker and you'll have more confidence, you know, when making these offers going forward. So really very commendable doing this while you have a very demanding full-time job. And I think we've seen a lot of people come in with full-time jobs, and you know, I really commend you for taking the time out of your day to learn the material, and, you know, being that student and absorbing it as much as possible, and then ultimately putting it into practice. And you know, despite your full-time commitment, so
Thanks.
Very respectable. I can definitely resonate with that. Was there anything that before you got started with wholesaling, you know, that intimidated you quite a bit about the process, that you found was actually much easier than expected, you know, while using the Pro Wholesaler program?
Well, I didn't know anything about talking to agents. I didn't know anything about talking to cash buyers. I was confused. Who do I tell I'm a wholesaler? Who do I not tell I'm a wholesaler? That's become pretty clear now after working with the program. I think the first call that I had with a realtor, I just acted like I knew exactly what I was talking about. So he thought I knew what I was talking about. So that gave me the confidence to talk to the next realtor and talk to the next realtor. And then also when talking to possible cash buyers, same thing. I was nervous talking to the first one, and then it just gets easier after that.
Yeah, definitely. Just speaking the lingo and making those calls can be nerve-wracking in the beginning, but I found when I remember getting started, just picking up the phone and talking to agents, you know, they're people too, and just having a regular conversation. Like once you spend time doing that, you realize that it's you become a lot more comfortable doing that. So so
they love to chat too. Some of them can be very, very chatty. So as long as you start chatting with them, then they're all happy.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of them, you know, they love real estate, you know, as do we. And so there's definitely a lot to jive about. But yeah, some are, you know, a lot more blunt and short, and others will talk for hours if you let them. So definitely a lot of different personalities out there.
Yeah. But because now that I've spoken to so many realtors, I've definitely gained some more contacts out there. For instance, today I talked to somebody about a property, it was yesterday I talked to him about a property, and I was going to put an offer in, and he called today to tell me that my offer that I was going to put in was under what the highest offer was that was coming in, and they were going to do last and final. And I said, I'm not coming up any more than my current offer price. And he said, well, I have a couple of off-market properties if you're interested also. And I said, yeah, definitely. So keep me in mind for your off-market properties. And so now I have that contact as well. So that worked out. Even though I'm not going to get that first property, I got this contact for the off-market properties.
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear. You know, that's one of the things we like to say is on market does lead to off market. When we're calling on agents, we're making connections, we're building our network and getting our name out there. One of the side effects of sending offers is actually connecting with these agents and ultimately getting on their pocket listing short list of investors that can take down these distressed properties that aren't ready to go retail, that aren't ready to be listed on the MLS. And so a lot of times when we make these connections, we'll get that call before anything hits the market. So whether you call it a pocket listing, off market listing, you know, agents have access to properties. They're talking to sellers every day. They're doing their own marketing. So in turn, we're leveraging the marketing that they're doing. And so it's that network of agents that we're building and leveraging all of their efforts talking to sellers as well. So way to tap into that. That's really exciting. So awesome, Karen. Well, just to kind of change gears and start to wrap things up, you did talk about your deal. Would you mind kind of sharing some of those numbers? Like what was the listed price? What was the, price you ended up getting it under contract? And what was the projected profit for your end buyer, if you recall?
I have to pull it up, but I can't remember exactly. I think I got it under contract for $225 and I wholesaled it at $235. And I want to say it was listed at like $260, possibly. I can't remember now. Don't forget, in my day job, all I do is look at numbers. So they kind of all run together.
Yeah, no worries at all. But it does sound like you were able to get it at a nice discount, which can absolutely help with the numbers. You come from a finance background, so that's a great fit for
it was 23. I want to say it was like a 23 or 24% ROI for the end buyer.
Okay, yeah, that's typically very, very attractive for fix and flippers, and really for any kind of real estate investor. If you can get double digit, especially in the 20s ROI within 3, 5, 6 months of a fix and flip, most flippers will take that all day long. So yeah, way to find value in this property. So great job. So yeah, moving forward, now that you've closed your first wholesale deal, now that you have some momentum, what do you see yourself doing as far as the real estate side goes going forward? What's next for Karen?
Well, I would definitely like to wholesale a bunch more properties and gain some capital. We do have some liquid cash at this time, so I would like to, I kind of want to tap into the foreclosure market. So I've been doing a lot of reading about that. I'm going to learn all I can about that before I even step foot into there. I'd like to maybe start building a rental portfolio. And I have found a couple of properties that I'm interested in looking at further. I have gone to see almost every property that I've put an offer in because I actually like that part of it. I like to walk the property. I like to go inside and really try to understand what the repair estimator and like looking at these things. And I know because I've done this stuff in my own home, how much things cost. And so in the future, I think I think we're going to do our own flips, our own rental properties and foreclosure properties.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's really awesome to hear. It's something that we call the evolution of a real estate investor. As you get started, you want to, learn the business, get your education, and then start to acquire and accumulate capital through wholesaling. And once you have that base, you can then reinvest in the fix and flips, and then ultimately buy and hold rental properties. So one of the great things is, about wholesaling is we can analyze properties. We learn really the whole acquisition process, but we don't ultimately have to close on the property ourselves. And we get to see these projects, from the beginning till the very end. As long as we stay in touch with our buyers, we can even participate in the renovations and ultimately see where they sell. So it's kind of a risk-free way of seeing these projects throughout. And then once we're ready, once we've accumulated that capital, we can then reinvest and then take these deals down ourselves. So it's really exciting to hear that that's a trajectory that you're looking at, and you're looking at opportunities for that as well. So I love to hear that.
One thing that I think is really important, even though I JV'd with this one person to close on the property or to bring the cash buyer. After we closed, I reached out to the cash buyer just to say thank you. And that he ultimately said, yeah, I'm still looking for projects. So bring me whatever you've got. So I thought that was a good end to that, or a good beginning, whichever way you look at it.
Definitely. Yeah. Way to do that. Way to nurture that relationship. Sounds like you found a great buyer, and the buyers we want to work with are constantly buying deals. It's not a matter of capital. It's not a matter of where the market is. Their business is buying houses. Their business is buying units. So we want to be able to cater to that. So, way to reach out and say that thank you. believe it or not everybody does that. So, you know, way to go and make that personal touch and show that you care and that you're very appreciative. So I think that can go a very long way. You know, a very relatively small act can definitely pay dividends down the road. So way to nurture that relationship. So yeah, just to kind of wrap things up, Karen, if you know, you have any last words or, you know, any advice for anyone looking to get started with real estate investing, you know, who might have been in your shoes before getting started, you know, what would you say to someone who's considering joining the Pro Wholesaler VIP program?
I would say it's definitely worth the cost of admission. It's, you have to work at it. It's not going to come to you. You have to study it. You have to work at it. You have to sometimes listen to the lessons more than one time and read over the information more than one time and practice. And it's a great place to start with so much education about the real estate world, and then just learning about evaluating properties. I think it's just a great place to start.
Awesome, Karen. Well,
yeah, very well put together.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm so glad that you've been able to get a lot of value out of it and ultimately a great return on your investment. You know, this first deal you're able to complete in less than 2 months, you know, it's really just the beginning for you. You know, we firmly believe it's the first of many, and this opens doors to just continue to replicating that success as you grow your relationships, as you hone in your skills, and you'll no doubt be able to crush all your goals that you've been putting out there and that you're setting for yourself. And I definitely look forward to continuing to be a part of your journey and supporting you along the way. So we really appreciate your time, Karen, today, and you know, sharing your journey and your insights for anyone else out there who's looking to get involved with the real estate industry and with the Pro Wholesaler program. So definitely look forward to keeping in touch and supporting your journey, Karen. So thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, you bet. For anyone else looking to get some more information about the Pro Wholesaler VIP program, just go ahead and go to realestateskills.com to learn more.